Good afternoon from Helsinki. It is afternoon. It's just after midday at 12:04, according to my computer here. And I am sitting on the steps of Parliament here in central Helsinki. The beautiful Parliament building with the Corinthian capitals, designed by a great architect named Siren in the late 20s, early 30s. And it's really is, the public's house. There's not much barrier. You can tour it for free. I think I did when I was a teenager. I haven't been inside in many years. But I'm across from the beautiful library Ödi and the Musiikkitalo, where there are many great concerts, including the Philharmonic that plays there. It's gorgeous, newish music hall. I got the idea to do Franz Kafka's parable Before the Law, and I thought, the steps of the Parliament, that would be a good place to go. All the history here. There's a statue of the President Kallio nearby, who led Finland right up into the Winter War, and of course Finland's hero Mannerheim. There's a monument to him, and that's the street that goes by Parliament, is Mannerheimen tie. And so one thing, I'm dealing with several offices, state, city, now that I've moved back to Finland. I've been a citizen, I've been a passport holder for decades, but moving back and changing my municipality, I thought it would be very easy and online and swift, but it's turning to be just a little bit annoying. And the only reason that it's somewhat frustrating is because Finland is, of course, a very, very forward-thinking, high-tech, like back in the 90s you had Nokia, which was a market leader in mobile phones. You have, all kinds of tech firms here. You have the Slush event coming up in November for founders and such like that. The video gaming industry has been big here with, Rovio, Angry Birds, that sort of thing. So, and the Wi-Fi is outstanding everywhere, etc. Things just seem, it's a small country, so you think, they've got all this worked out with the technology and with the systems and processes. And then I think it's going to be a very, very simple thing, because to change my address when I've been living abroad has been super easy. But now that I'm living back here, I thought, I just can just da-da-da-da-da. And it didn't quite work out that way. So I had to go into the office, the Digi, ja Tietovirasto, the DVV, as they call it, which is like the Finnish population info system. And they actually display, both on the website and on a readout, which I posted on, I think on my Twitter, is they have like the real-time population data, which is kind of, it's not all track and trace, it's not all spooky dystopian technocracy like that. It's just, it's just kind of like a nice comforting feeling that I'm, I added one digit to the 5,600,000, etc. residents in Finland right now. They keep very close tabs on the population, as you find out. I mean, I always knew that, but then experiencing it personally is a little bit different. I'm not used to being so tracked. But anyway, it is what it is. But I thought that this process would be very simple for me, as I've been a citizen for many years, And but I go there right after I moved here, and the person I met with at the desk, when I took my number and got to the desk, I thought I'd just fill out this quick form, No, she doesn't know what to do with me, so she goes to talk to her supervisor, and the supervisor tells her that I need to go to another office. Because I've been living abroad so long, and some other factor, something like I'm going to be treated as if I'm someone who's not a citizen moving to Finland and registering my municipality, which doesn't really make sense. But she said, well, we just have to treat it that way because you have an unusual situation. And so we need to book you another appointment. And the earliest available was 2.5 weeks later, because apparently a lot of people are moving in. as I saw in the waiting room. And then so I thought, well, okay, fine, no big deal. I'll just come back in 2.5 weeks. And I thought it was a different office, like physically a different office. So I arrive, I look, and the address is the same. And so I get to about a week ago, last Thursday, I get to the reception desk, and there's this kindly gentleman in a nice blue blazer. It kind of looks like he's equivalent of what they used to call like somebody who took a semi-retirement job, like as a Walmart greeter. But he's at the DG and the DVV, and he was baffled by my situation as well. And he says, "But you are a Finnish citizen." And I'm like, "Yes, I know, and everyone knows that." But they said I had to come to this other appointment, and it didn't make sense to him, didn't make sense to me. I'm like, fine, I'm just going to get it done, whatever. So I sit down after I get my number. I'm sitting in the exact same waiting room I was in 2.5 weeks prior. There's just these rows of desks. When your number gets called, there's like probably 20 little desks where you meet the person. So I wait there about 40 minutes. Mostly there's Asian, Middle Eastern, Northern African, some other people. And none of them are citizens except for me, of course. And so my number gets called, and I get to the desk, and it's probably about 5 meters from where I had been at my appointment 2.5 weeks prior, but different office. And so I start talking to the kind woman there, and she's baffled by my situation as well, and she has to go talk to her supervisor. It's like, because she thought that I shouldn't have been there, and I'm like, well, I went over there, and they said I'd come back and sit here and fill out this brief form. Okay, fine. So she gets back. She's still a little bit confused, but she brings the form, and I write down my new municipality, Helsinki, a couple other things, my national ID number, sign it. Takes 23 seconds, and she's like, okay, stamps it, done. I'm like, I could have done this 2.5 weeks ago at that desk, but I had to come back anyway. It's fine. It's just like in a society, in a small, technologically advanced society like Finland, like I expected, like it wouldn't take all this waiting in these offices and da-da-da-da. But anyway, I'm now in one of those digits. I mean, I was before, but I don't know, maybe they gave me another digit. I don't know. No, probably not. But anyway, I wanted to read. I've been on this bent of Austro-Hungarian, Prague-born poets and writers, and Franz Kafka. He wrote this amazing parable called Before the Law, which I've referred to at different times in my life. I read some of his shorter aphorisms, the Zurau aphorisms, and this one, it really sticks with you, and if you read it closely, and again, it'll give you the nuances come out, and it's a simple story, but it's also and for some reason it's an enduring one. And of course, Kafka, he worked in an insurance office. He was adjusting claims for people who had their digits ripped off in unsafe work conditions and things like that. He hated his job, obviously. It kept him from his real life mission and his purpose of writing. But anyway, he wrote this beautiful thing called The Law, and I wrote another little piece that reminded me of this. Anyway, don't worry about that. So this is Kafka. Before the law sits a gatekeeper. To this gatekeeper comes a man from the country who asks to gain entry into the law. But the gatekeeper says that he cannot grant him entry at the moment. The man thinks about it, then asks if he will be allowed to come in later on. It is possible, says the gatekeeper, but not now. At the moment, the gate to the law stands open, as always, and the gatekeeper walks to the side, so the man bends over to see through the gate into the inside. When the gatekeeper notices that, he laughs and says, "If it tempts you so much, try it, in spite of my prohibition. But take note, I am powerful. And I am only the most lowly gatekeeper, but from room to room stand other gatekeepers, each more powerful than the other. I can't endure even one glimpse of the third." The man from the country has not expected such difficulties. The law should always be accessible for everyone, he thinks. But as he now looks more closely at the gatekeeper in his fur coat, at his large pointed nose and his long, thin, black tartar's beard, he decides that it would be better to wait until he gets permission to go inside. The gatekeeper invites him to sit on a stool and allows him to sit at the side in front of the gate. There he sits for days and years. And years. He makes many attempts to be let in, and he wears the gatekeeper out with his requests. The gatekeeper often interrogates him briefly, questioning him about his homeland and many other things. But they are indifferent questions, the kind great men put. And at the end, he always tells him once more that he cannot let him inside. The man who has equipped himself with many things for his journey spends everything, no matter how valuable, to win over the gatekeeper. The latter takes it all, but as he does so, says, "I'm taking this only so that you do not think that you have failed to do anything." During the many years, the man observes the gatekeeper almost continuously. He forgets the other gatekeepers, and this one seems to him the only obstacle for entry into the law. He curses the unlucky circumstance. In the first years, thoughtlessly and out loud. Later, as he grows old, he still mumbles to himself. He becomes childish, and since in the long years studying the gatekeeper, he has come to know the fleas in his fur collar, he even asks the fleas to help him persuade the gatekeeper. Finally, his eyesight grows weak, and he does not know whether things are really darker around him or whether his eyes are merely deceiving him. But he recognizes now, in the darkness, an illumination which breaks inextinguishably out of the gateway to the law. Now he no longer has much time to live. Before his death, he gathers in his head all his experiences of the entire time up into one question, which he has not yet put to the gatekeeper. He waves to him, since he can no longer lift up his stiffening body. The gatekeeper has to bend way down to him, for the great difference has changed things to the disadvantage of the man. "What do you still want to know, then?" asks the gatekeeper. "You are insatiable." "Everyone strives after the law," says the man. "So how is it that in these many years no one except me has requested entry?" The gatekeeper sees that the man is already dying, and in order to reach his diminishing sense of hearing, he shouts at him, "Here, no one else can gain entry, since this entrance was assigned only to you. I'm going now to close it." So there ends Kafka's parable of going before the law. And the beautiful thing about Kafka, even in his brief things, his aphorisms, which are only a few lines long, or this, which is a few paragraphs, is that it's almost like playing a musical piece, because its meaning is not fixed. It's not just one idea. It's an accumulation of things, and it's something that you only gain through years of experience and wisdom and testing yourself and testing society and observing. And so it's something that can grow with you, just like his other aphorisms. And it's like, it's simple, but it's also deeply, deeply spiritually thought-provoking. And so I'm going to leave it kind of there. I'm on the steps of the beautiful Parliament building. On the interior, there's some lovely Art Deco style details, and then of course you have this lovely line of columns in the architect Siren. I really like his work throughout Finland. And then across the street, is where I usually am during my days. I was just there for a few hours. The right, right across is Ode, which is the gorgeous central library, and much more. It's my office. I'm there all the time, sometimes 8-9 hours a day, writing and editing and reading and stuff. So yeah, there's also the Contemporary Art Museum, Kiasma, and then there's the Musiikkitalo, that gorgeous building, and we're close to Finlandia-talo, which used to be the home of the Philharmonic and many conferences and musical events. They still do, but they've kind of repurposed it after they did the extensive remodeling and renovation, which I talked about in a different video. And then further down is where opera and ballet are. And so you're really in a fantastic part of Helsinki with some important, beautiful buildings dedicated to art and culture, as well as the business of the government, whatever that is. And yes, it's getting a little bit cold. We're almost into November, of course. And I appreciate this time, and I hope people will go back and read all of Kafka's works. He only lived 40 years. He couldn't have produced all that much, right? But a lot of his work is dense and beautiful, and it applies in new ways in different times and cultures, and that's all we can hope for from literature, I think. So with that, I think I'm going to sign off for today. I have to go to a different office today to get something else accomplished. And I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you are. Thank you so much, and read Kafka.